Today, I'm speaking with Stephanie James, who's a transformational coach. And her and I and a number of amazing leader women are going to be doing an incredible live event called Becoming Fierce. So this podcast is all about what it means to become fierce. And it's an invitation to come and join us live to really help to step you into this next chapter of your life in a very empowering and very fierce way. So enjoy. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast for this week. This week, I have my very good girlfriend, Stephanie James, with me. Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
Good, Natalie. How are you?
I am fantastic. So Stephanie is an author. She's a transformational coach. She is a wonder and a powerhouse. And the reason that I have her on the podcast this week is that we want to share with you a very exciting event that's coming up that we are both involved with some other girlfriends of ours, some other amazing powerhouse women. And that is the Becoming Fierce Women's Retreat. So today our theme and what we'll be talking about is, what does it mean to become fierce? Because when we hear the word fierce, sometimes you're like, fierce sounds like very aggressive, very, but that's not really what we're tapping into, is it, Stephanie? So tell me what's your definition of fierce?
Yeah, I love that part of the definition, when you look up the definition of fierce, is fiery. So I always think about that, because to me, being fierce is showing up in full expression of ourselves, where we have that fiery passion inside of us. So we have our purpose. We live a purpose-filled life where we have our voice and we're in touch with that inner power. You know so much about this, where we manifest things in the world and we're really living through that lit up version of ourselves. To me, when we can show up and be fully that in our authentic selves, that's a fierce power to deal with in the world.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's part of just being in a place where, and I think that we honestly, who we are and where we are at this time of our lives is really the time to step into this fierceness. We've had life experience. We've got the scrapes, we've got the scars, we've been through the wars, but we've got to this place where, we have this wisdom. And, if you're listening to this podcast, or if you're being part of the Mind Movers community, or even part of Stephanie's community, you're working on yourself. You're understanding that, we're peeling back the layers of the programs and all of the behavior patterns and things that we've accumulated over the years. So stepping into our fierceness, to me, is a little bit more like stepping into the strongest essence of who we are. And I think that there are so many of us that have this calling right now to go, okay, well, I want to make a contribution. I want to make a contribution that's bigger than my family, or bigger than, the humans that I've had in my life up until this point. Like, how can I make a difference? And how can I step into something that I feel passionate about? And I think, like I said, we've come from, a place where we've really had to, peel back the layers. Like, I know even your personal story of your childhood and what you were overcoming. And share us a little bit about that, because I think that's a really important part of, describing how you've got to this place of fierceness.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. I think that's one of the really important pieces, is that, we're continually evolving. We never arrive. We keep, like you said, to peel back the layers. And I do think that, my journey did, I think that's one of the pieces that's contributed to what I would call my own fierceness. And so I really want to make sure I'm differentiating that becoming fierce is also embodying where we're at and loving our own journey. And that it doesn't have to be perfect, that being fierce doesn't mean we're always in this place of power. It means that we're befriending ourselves and we're befriending what shows up in our lives. So to go quickly, my childhood, I feel very blessed that I had 13 years of truly what I would call a golden childhood. Lots of family, everybody very close. And I was a total daddy's girl. And so I would always follow my dad around. If he was raking the leaves, I was helping him put them in the bag. And I would literally sit beside him every morning when he would shave when I was a little girl. And he'd put the shaving cream on my face and I'd shave with this little plastic toothbrush holder. And really we had, as my brother and I, we had this really lovely world until one night when I was 13, we were awoken to the sound of screeching tires, tearing down the driveway, and looked out and saw my dad, pounding on the hood of the car and trying to get my mom out of the car. And we just didn't know what was going on, to learn later that my father had just told my mom that he was having an affair and he was going to leave her for this other woman. And it was like at that moment, this beautiful childhood was irreversibly broken. And really what happened from then, my father was having an affair with one of my best friend's mothers. So things got pretty messy and really different pretty fast. And in a nutshell, very quickly, when we moved in with them, I was told I was considered the other woman. So from that point on, I wasn't allowed to speak to my father alone. I wasn't allowed to do things with him alone. And to this day, I'm still not allowed to talk to him alone on the phone, which, I've made total peace with. And what was a result of all that is I started getting this message at a very young age, like something's wrong, I'm not lovable. And then when I moved back in with my mom at 16, my father was like, you've moved back in there and didn't speak to me for a year. So, Natalie, I went through a large part of my life just trying to get acceptance, to just know that I was loved, and doing that searching, like, okay, if I just have the right outfit, if I can just be pretty enough or smart enough, have the right job, the right car, the right man in my life, then somehow I'd be okay. And it really wasn't until I was probably, 30 years old, which is, not quite half my life ago. When I finally got it, I was at this institute, going to a healing institute in San Francisco. And this Dr. Jaffe, who was doing the presentation, shook my hand on the way in. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, he is reading my soul, like he can see through me. And in the middle of his presentation, he looks out into the audience and he says, hey, you in the blue coat, I've got a message for you. And I look around and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the blue coat. and he said, my message for you is, and he said the message and I couldn't hear him. And he kind of laughed and said, well, my dear, what I'm trying to tell you is, and when he went to say it again, all the air conditioning units in the place went on and like nobody could hear him. Mm-hmm. So everybody's laughing by now, and he's like, okay, come on up here. He said, you're very resistant to hearing this. And he said, my dear, my message for you is stop trying. Stop trying. It's like he could see me, and he said, he goes, you've been trying your whole life to be perfect for your father, and now you're trying to be perfect for your husband. Stop trying. And it was in that moment, Natalie, that I really got like, oh my God, I have been trying all these external programs for happiness to make me feel okay about myself. And that love was something I couldn't get outside of me, that I couldn't go out and earn it. And it had to start with me just starting to befriend myself. And that really started that journey for me on learning how to love me. And so from that place, it's just been amazing what's been created in my life as I've done that. And so that to me was a huge opening into this journey of what I call, being in touch with that fierceness and what really is the important messages, and that deep relationship that we have with ourselves that cultivates that fire, that brings us to that sense of fierceness.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And my recent journey, I think the last 2 years of the pandemic was, the longest and shortest years of my life. But it also cleared up enough space in my life to work on myself. And I always have a coach. And my coach that I have now, she's amazing. She channels the universe. So, it's like There is no hiding and there is no stone left unturned. And so we really I worked a lot on myself to get prepared because I was ready for a relationship. And for those of you who've been listening, you know, I met Bert in August of 2020, so during the height of the pandemic. But then, you know, you go, yes, great. I met my guy. He's everything I had in my mind. Maybe that was amazing. And then you're in relationship. So then all of the things that I've had unresolved in previous relationships are now coming to the surface. So now the work starts again, you know. So whatever chapter that we're in, you know, whether it's, you know, getting out of a marriage, getting into a new relationship, getting into a new business or a new vocation or whatever that is, then you find that you often will have these things come to the surface that can only come to the surface when you're in that situation, right? And so, man, I've been on a sharp learning curve as well. And as Brandy is the name of my coach, she's just like, well, Nat, she goes, you know, you have these triggers, and my triggers are things like I feel like I'm being criticized. And, you know, that I'm being told what to do. And that's definitely from my childhood. Actually, I spoke to my sister the other day, well, these are my triggers. I go, no two guesses where I get that from. And she just started laughing because we know what mum was like. So I know why I have these triggers, and I'm working on them. And she goes, look, you can either choose to work on it and release it, or just take it to the next relationship. What do you want to do? You know, I'm like, oh, God, okay, this is where the work starts. So when we're talking about this amazing women's retreat that has been the brainchild of Stephanie, these are the kind of things that we want to help other women be able to work through. So Stephanie will be there. I will be there. The event is only open for 26 women. This is a very intimate, deep dive for women who are on the springboard into looking into this next version or this next chapter of their life. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the other women who are going to be with us and guiding and helping the transformation of the women that are going to be at the retreat. So let's go into a little bit of those. So we've got Pauline Nguyen, that's come from Australia. She's actually coming over from Australia. That's so awesome. And she's definitely a spiritual entrepreneur, but she has some very deep processes as well that really help women get to the core and the essence of who they are, right?
Yeah, and I love her thing about, you know, really transmuting the anxiety that we feel and really getting rid of that kind of energy as it arises, and how we can turn it into calm, how we can turn it into energy that actually works for us. So what's to me really exciting too is not only is she going to do that, she's going to be talking about that, she's also going to guide us through a shamanic activation on sunrise Sunday morning. So just bringing the best, you know, of what she has to offer to share with us.
Yeah, I love that. Now we also have Lisa Hopkins coming in as well.
Yeah, you know, and Misa, you know, you and I both know her well. And not only is she absolutely such a bright light in this world, and 7-time best-selling author, she does sound medicine. That's what she does, works with people internationally and helps them to heal through using her voice in these beautiful and amazing ways. And what she's going to be doing actually is this deep dive. What she's really been getting this year is the need to, number one, embrace the masculine and feminine within us, those energies that we all have. And through that, even deepening our walk, deepening our love. And how do you really create that within yourself?
Yeah.
So I'm so excited, to see her offering as well.
Yeah. And who else have you got coming?
Well, then we have Cynthia James, our friend Cynthia James, singer, songwriter, amazing transformational leader, who's done great work with Michael Bernard Beckwith and Lisa Nichols. And I mean, also just a powerhouse. And her stuff is going to be around finding your voice and deepening that ability to really access that intuitive and authentic part of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, she's
And then
gorgeous.
your friend, Kari, Dr. Kari
Yes.
Schaefer, tell them a little bit about her.
So Kari has been on the podcast a couple of times, and she is an expert when it comes to she's like a intuitive medical, where she looks at especially when it comes to menopause, how we can energetically through diet, through lifestyle, be able to navigate this what can sometimes be a very challenging time in our life. When we're going through menopause, we don't have to struggle. Sometimes we'll have all these different symptoms, but through shifts that anyone can make, Kari's really great at being able to help us do that. And she has so much knowledge when it comes to balancing our hormones, the diet and lifestyle that we should be following. She's amazing. She's helped me immensely. Like, thank God for her, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I just had her on my show. I just interviewed her last week, and her energy is so phenomenal. And already just from that one conversation, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to intermittent fast anymore. She really was talking about how when you're, postmenopausal, that's not good for you because of the insulin spikes.
Yes.
And, and the blood sugar spikes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't wait to tell my guy I wasn't going to intermittent fast anymore. Yeah. So, I mean, she just has such a cool energy, and what a healer. So yeah, I'm so excited for her to be a part of this. And then Sedina Capinelli, Sedina is such a beautiful soul, and she's going to be doing the medicine wheel with us to open ceremony and end the weekend. And then her stuff is all the ageless living stuff on PBS. And it's really ageless you and how to be vibrant, which she is, and really embrace that part of us that is ageless. And I think that's what's so cool about all of this, even, going back to Kari's work, is that it's like, if we knew when we were young women that like 50 and over was going to be like the best time of our lives, right. I think about how would that have changed things for us?
Right.
And that's what both these women are really bringing.
Yeah. So really the retreat is for you, if you, like I said, facing this next chapter, we are going to be nurturing your mind, body, and soul. And like I said, it's a deep dive. It's going to be very spiritually enriching. And I'm sure that there will be some friendships that you garner and that you cultivate at this retreat that will last you for the rest of your life. So it's going to be quality group of women. So give us some more details. What's the dates? And I know that we're in Colorado. Tell us a little about the amazing retreat space that we'll be in.
Oh my gosh, I literally just got the chills because it is absolutely gorgeous. When I went up to go look at it, it exceeded my expectations of how gorgeous it is. So it's June 24th through the 26th up in Estes Park, Colorado, which is gorgeous anyway. But the place we're staying is these luxury cabins. The presenters, we'll have our own little lodge, but the participants are staying in these gorgeous 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot, gorgeous A-frame cabins where they have their own fireplace and kitchen and laundry. And it's just decorated really beautifully. And we are just in this gorgeous place right by Estes Lake. So we're going to have amazing farm to table gourmet food. We're going to have this gorgeous space. And when I was there just last weekend, I mean, just walk outside and there's like a herd of 20 elk just walking down the road. And so, I mean, we're right there in nature. It's just phenomenal. It gives your soul just this place to breathe and expand. And, we're building in some time so that not only will you be doing these amazing processes, you're going to be able to have some time to walk out in nature, to take the path that leads from the cabins that goes right down to the lake. And just really to incorporate and even deepen this journey that we're going to be on together. Yeah.
It is going to be an incredible weekend. And we're inviting you to come and join us. So which is the URL that we want to send people to, Stephanie, to be able to register for the event and to find out more details if they like?
Absolutely. So they want to go to stephaniejames.world/becoming fierce. And it will have all the information that you need. Right now we're running a promo, so you can get $500 off. And that's with the code I choose me. And that's one of the things that I know I'm going to be talking about, is how we make ourselves priority in our own life, and how that is actually one of the least selfish things we can do. Because I'm telling you, when I know, Nat, for you and I, like when we go to these kind of events and we experience this, it's like we take it and then we expand it out to everyone around us. It's like we integrate what that is and we assimilate that, and it becomes a part of who we are. And then it affects everyone in our life. And so the same is true for this.
Yeah, I agree. So like I said, we would love to have you with us. It's a weekend in the woods with the elk and some incredible women, which is guaranteed to be a very transformational experience. And, this will be my first live event that I've done since the pandemic. And I'm really looking forward. For me, there's nothing better than to be face-to-face, to have that personal interaction. And like you said, it's not like we're in, processes all the time. We've got time to sit and chat and have a cup of tea or, whatever, and just, have that deepening connection and having that nurturing, oxytocin hit that you get when you're with your girlfriends. So we're really looking forward to that. So if you go to stephaniejames.world/becoming fierce, I'll make sure that link is also in the show notes, so you can click on that and go through and register. And if you want to get that $500, discount, you need to do that by May 15th. May 15th. Yeah.
We might even extend it 1 week.
Okay.
Because we've had a lot of people inquiring. So I want women to be able to come and feel like, yeah, I've made the investment in myself. And we want to make it easy so that people, so women can be there and join the circle, find their spot in the circle.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this podcast right now and something that we've said has really kind of lit a little fire in you, then I really encourage you to come and join us. And we can't wait to see you there. So Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today, darling. Always a pleasure chatting with you, and I can't wait to be with you in person.
Oh, me too. So excited. Thank you, Natalie, for having me. So happy to be with you.